Welcome back, you guys, and yeah, I'm not upset right now because this video is coming out a bit later. Of course, after the game, and best believe, my head was in my hands for like 5 minutes. Next week, we're playing against Tottenham, and I was really hoping that we'd get the big win today to get that confidence so we can take that confidence from the win today into that big must-win game against Spurs. Because for me, you guys, as a fan, I want us to get all 3 points against Tottenham. But the reality is that going to be a possibility? I'm not too sure, but those types of questions are going to be asked for future videos, when it gets close to that game. But you guys, immediately, the thing I did not like is the lineup that started this game and the lineup that ended the game. So much to talk about, but before I do, you guys, of course, quick plug. Download the OneFootball app. Again, I can't even say download it to vote for your man of the match because that would be a waste, but it really is a great companion app. It really can provide a lot of benefits for you as the season goes on. Quick access to information, all these types of things. Honestly, I've been using the OneFootball app before they even sponsors me. That's why I'm so happy to be working with them, because it's a quality product. Guys want to get it. You'll find it below in the link in the description. The first thing that I want to talk about is the lineup. Now, I understand maybe why Lampard made certain decisions, but I want to break down were those the correct ones. Now, at the time, I thought that Pulisic might not be playing in today's game because Lampard said himself that he is tired, and with Pulisic, it's very evident to see that he's tired. Remember, this guy's come from Dortmund. He wasn't playing consistently week in, week out in his final season, He's still quite young. His physicality is nowhere near as strong as it's eventually going to be when he's like 24 or 25. He's quite frail and quite weak at times. And he looks exhausted. There's a lot of pressure to have on a player that isn't fit enough because they're tired. And I don't know, did Lampard make the right call? Because at first I was thinking, does Pulisic's selection in the team state that maybe Lampard hasn't been too impressed with Callum in training recently? That was the first thing I thought of. But then I thought, okay, let's say that's the case. How is that helping Pulisic? If Pulisic is not fully fit because he's tired and fatigued, how is it doing any favours to keep on playing games? And right now, he could do with a bit of a rest so his form can still be high and so he can keep going further. The other things I'm trying to understand. Also, Jorginho playing over cover. Jorginho today, again, I'm not going to be personally angry with the player, because when I look at tactics and when I look at football, I look at what the tactic is to break down the opposition team. What's the game plan? How are the players supposed to play? What's the plays and moves we're going to make to break the teams down and get the 3 points? And, at times, it can be hard for your guys like a Jorginho, because let's be serious, you guys. Our main recent issue right now is that we're struggling to break down teams that defend deep. Now, it's not the first time you've seen this at this club. It's happened for years. But, right now it's become more of a struggle. When I look at the defense, for example, I'm finding that they don't really have too many passing options because opposition teams are really blocking us from moving the ball into midfield. And at times, maybe this is why we play down the flanks more. And this leads on nicely to why Reece James wasn't starting in this game. With Reece and his ability to put exceptional balls in the box, his press resistance, how he plays down the right-hand side. I mean, come on. We've seen games recently where we've seen Aspie down the left, Reece down the right. You cannot compare these two on the ball. And when you deep it even more, when you deep that, Bournemouth were always coming here to defend in deep, low blocks to make it hard for us, to give us free possession of the ball, to let us play out from the back, because they're confident, other teams have been confident that we are not going to break them down. And that's what keeps me happening time and time again. Now, just because I'm asking for Reece to be in the team does not mean I'm being disrespectful to Azpilicueta. Of course not. That Aspie today, he did what he does. I can't expect him to do Reece James things because he's not that style of player. I'm just thinking, from a tactical perspective, was it the right move to have Aspie there? Because Bournemouth weren't planning to have counter-attack after counter-attack, and most times they did have them. That was because we gave them counter-attacks in the first place. What was the tactical benefit from what Azpilicueta was going to bring to the team today? Because we know that he wasn't going to bring nothing with his crosses or his delivery. He wasn't going to bring anything from his link-up play down the right-hand side with Willian either. How many times, how many seasons, not even times, you guys, seasons, have we seen poor, slow, combinational play down that right-hand side between Aspie and Willian, because these guys don't suit playing together. We've known that for time, and it is more surprising for me because with Reece being in the team, I've seen that combo play with Willian, and I've noticed that the right-hand side's become a lot quicker with how we use the ball and create attacks, and I've seen the positioning as well, you guys. I mean, how many times has Reece free up space down that side? Reece frees up space by either tucking inside midfield to take a man away from the wide area, freeing up Willian to go 1v1, or vice versa. That speed, that fluidity, it can only get better the more these guys play. But in a game like this today, where how many times we resort to putting crosses inside the box, why did you not want Reece being in the team putting in the crosses? Because I thought he was the best crosser in the club. Now, this is where my critique comes to Lampard. A part of me does understand why he is making selections like this, because he understands that a lot of these guys are still very young. It's their first year in their development. It's quite obvious that the plan this year from the coaches and the management is to think of the long term, and finally, for once, we're thinking towards the future. So I understand why we can't expect to see Reece playing every single game week in, week out, because he's only 19 years old, and that's something that takes time for you to grow and adjust to. But I just mean, you know, if Aspie's playing, if you're playing Jorginho, who probably has no one to pass to in front, because again, Mason Mount is isolated and the wingers aren't combining between the lines. I'm just thinking, what was the game plan to break down Bournemouth today? I'm not too sure, you guys. Now, I said before that Lampard is a manager that does like to take risks. And you know what? In the future, when we look back at Lampard's career, all those risks he would have taken would have really benefited him more compared to the failures. So at this point in time, you know, I'm trying to keep an open perspective and think towards the future, because I understand the context of this season and I'm never going to forget that. But with Frank Lampard, is Lampard really making the best tactical decisions at times? And I say this because I told you before, I did not like how this team ended. You know, 4-2-4, taking Jorginho off, bringing Mitchie on. What is the plan? The only plan I see is hope. And that's what I don't like in football. At this level, you cannot rely on hope. If you're bringing on Mitchie, you're not bringing him on to affect our build-up play or anything. You're bringing him on in case an opportunity does come. You're hoping that Mitchie is going to bury it in the back of the net. And that explains why we played with no discipline in those final 10 minutes. And that explains why those final 10 minutes cost us in the game. Taking off Jorginho meant that we were a man less in midfield. And already, you guys, I've told you how teams like to block off the passes into midfield. And that's why we're building up in the wide areas. Who did the centre-backs have to pass to? Who did the midfielders have to pass to? Because they're getting marked from the opposition as well. It didn't make sense. So what ends up happening is that we lose control. We become a FIFA team that, you know, plays fast football with no purpose down the flanks, spamming in crosses left, right and centre. The strikers up front who aren't physically as superior just yet as they may be. I mean, listen, if you've got Dropper up front and someone else, then I understand why you're playing like that. But for a young 22-year-old who, you know, he's being marked the whole game, it's hard, no one's really helping him. What is the game plan? And I just think this hopeful stuff really isn't the best way to get ourselves back in the game and to help us do things. If I was starting this game, I'm starting with Reece, I'm starting with Cover. You know, these guys just improve how we play. And is it no surprise that when Frank subs on Hudson and Cover for that 10-15 minute spell, we're looking decent. And this is why I mean with Lampard's risks. Sometimes you just need to be patient. How many times have teams like a Liverpool, Man City, or even us back in the day? It's not the first time we've come up against stubborn opposition. This was never going to be a game where we're going to win it 2 or 3-0. It's the Premier League, it's a high level. Sometimes you've got to really fight and grind out for these wins, because sometimes you're up against teams who on their day are just exceptional. When you force the play by taking off a Jorginho, you're telling the team, ignore patience. And that's the mistake. We need to remain patient at all times, and that lack of consistent patience with our build-up play and our possession isn't helping us, because again, listen, I'd rather end this game 0-0 than losing 1-0. And the reason why we lost 1-0 is because of the tactical substitutions at the end, giving all that control away, giving it to Bournemouth, and then of course, them picking us off on the counter-attack. It's happening too many times right now. And I think Lampard needs to understand, listen, if you want to play that style of football, wait until you've bought players you want in the market. Let's not forget, a lot of these guys Lampard's working with are players that Lampard doesn't necessarily want. So we have to accept that. But at the same time, as Lampard himself has said, Mr. Adaptability, you adapt to the situation and the players at your disposal. And I'm thinking right now, is Lampard getting the best out of them? I'm not too sure, because for me, you guys, listen, it has to be 1 point at least. If we're not playing amazing, we cannot lose this game. There was no exceptions. And it's disappointing from that sense, you guys. But you know what? I want to speak about Rudiger and Zuma now. Now, they kind of reminded me of that performance between Ajax and Man United when De Ligt and Sanchez were obviously defenders at the back, winning so many vital 50-50 tackles, etc., etc. And I understand that people will criticize their passing out from the back. As I'm saying with Rudiger, he's only come back from injury. He's clearly rusty. His passing wasn't as crisp as it can be. And with Kurt Zuma as well, listen, Kurt isn't going to be playing those passes between the lines. He has ability. He has techers, but you know what? I need to say it straight. With David Luiz back in the day, people used to dismiss his passing ability because he couldn't defend. And it seems like with Kurt Zuma now, people are dismissing his defensive prowess because he can't pass. And when things like that happen, you guys, it just tells me it's personal bias. But I thought today these guys were decent at times. But, I'd like to critique Rudiger a bit more, but it's not fair. And I can't, because he's still only getting back to full fitness. At times I think he can be a bit indisciplined in this movement. These are things we've all seen before. I don't understand how people have forgotten that. I mean, we've seen this guy play for us for 2 seasons. I haven't seen too much improvement in the mental part of the game from Rudiger. But the main thing I want to say about these guys is, who can they really pass to? What are really the options? Even if they want to play like a long ball pass like a Abraham or one of the young guys playing in the attacking areas, I mean, are they going to hold the ball up or do something with it every single time? I don't think so. I'm not too sure, you guys. I understand that Lampard is going to be frustrated at, some of the passive build-up play at times. There's a lot of passivity, but I'm just thinking, where are the passing options? Who can the centre-backs really pass to? Like, for example, let me give you an example. Back in the day, when we had Luiz and Eden Hazard, how many times did Eden Hazard drop in that left-hand channel, falling between the lines, and David Luiz would find him in those areas. Hazard would then collect the ball, run at the opponents, create that space, and how many times did that happen? It didn't happen today because Pulisic, he's a fantastic player. We can't deny that. But let's still remember he's only 21. And that's one thing I'm going to stress with all these guys. He's 21. Right now, I feel at times with the fatigue, obviously the physicality too, because I don't think he likes to get and hit and knock to the floor, Pulisic. He's not the type of guy that's going to take that pressure away or make the brave dribble where he's guaranteed to get fouled like an Eden Hazard does. We used to benefit so much from that. I'm not seeing a Pulisic falling in that channel to relieve the pressure. Willian does that at times, but how much can he do by himself down that right-hand side? It's not there. And I'm making this point because immediately that becomes a passing option that's non-existent to the team. So what can I expect guys like Zuma and Rudiger to do when there's no one up front really doing much? And this is where I think tactics need to be called into place, and maybe some things need to be tinkered with and maybe adapted a bit. I say this because at this point, sometimes it feels like Mason Mount is a bit of a waste. I don't think it's anything to do with the personal ability and quality. I'm going to stand by Mason because I've been watching this guy play longer than most of you guys. I've been watching him play before any of you guys even knew his name. So this is why I still have a lot of faith in him, because I haven't seen all the things I've seen from Mason Mount. But I'm just thinking playing as a shadow striker where, it doesn't really complement with the rest of the attack at times. I mean, you know what I mean? It's not perfect, and it's no surprise why stuff like that is constantly going to get ignored and constantly going to get exploited. But you guys, I can honestly talk on a lot more. Expect a big talking points video tomorrow. Sorry I didn't break down big moments or talk about the goals conceded. There are things that I was feeling watching this game that I wanted to bring out and talk about. But you guys, yeah, it's annoying. It really is annoying. I might try and make the mood a bit better by releasing a news video, why not? But anyway, I'm going to wrap things up and keep things moving. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe. I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Lines TV, and boys, I'm gone.